Hello everyone and welcome back to DMG. Today I'm going to be upgrading my XP system. A new CPU is really going to help it out. So I'm upgrading from, oh wait, no, that's the wrong one. I'm upgrading from this one, a Pentium 4 HT631 to an HT661. So this is 1 core, 2 thread, 3 gigahertz. 1 core, 2 thread, 3.6 gigahertz. It's got a bit of paste on it because I popped it in and just made sure it posted, which it did. But I haven't actually run any tests or even booted into the operating system with it. Of course, because it is a CPU, I'm not going to have to do any screwing with drivers. I'm just going to have to... It's not the ideal way to work on an LGA socket. I feel like I am going to rake my finger across the pins and break everything. There we go. Okay, and then just lift it up, if I can find the edge. There we go. And just drop in this one. Now, yeah, it doesn't have too much paste on it. That's the best I can do for now. Just to test, and over the weekend I'll grab some actual paste because the lab is locked and I can't get into it right now. Let's see, where are my notches? I believe they are there. It should just, okay, yeah, so I was right. Bam. And okay, good, I did install the right CPU. So as a recap, I'm eventually going to upgrade it to 4 gigs of RAM. I don't need to make a video about that. Maybe like how many tabs can I open on XP or anything. But like, yeah, so currently it has 1.75 gigs. I took out one of the original 256 megabyte sticks and swapped it out with a 1 gigabyte. Now, opening this thing is kind of a pain, so I was waiting to do this. But I think the CMOS battery is dead. It hasn't been keeping very good time in the operating system. The batteries that I put in this thing, I swear, they die like twice as fast as batteries in anything else. Like, it might as well be using the CR2032 to run the LED on the main board, because they last like a little over like 8 months. And then they need to be swapped out. So I have no idea what the deal is with that. But like even within the OS, it hasn't been keeping time. But, you know, with this new CPU, I believe in some old Cinebench versions I do have scores saved. And if I don't, I'm gonna have to pop the old one back in. Now while I'm screwing this cooler in, I want to talk about the extreme respect and affection I have for this cooler. It's an OEM cooler. It literally came with this HP system. And also it looks like the cooler is backwards, but it's built like that. Because this shroud goes on there. So you have 2 fans on it. It looks like that fan is supposed to blow that way, but no, it blows that way. But anyway, this is an OEM cooler. It came with this PC. It's a small form factor, etc. But for cooling a Pentium 4, and this could actually handle up to a Pentium D, like those awful 105 watt or 95 watt, I think it was 105, like monstrosities that were literally just 2 Pentium 4s nailed together. Like, they performed awfully, they were hot, they were inefficient, and this hyper-threaded Pentium 4 is actually, you get a lot more performance per watt with it than you would a Pentium D. Now, Pentium D and Pentium dual core are, of course, haha, CPU joke, of course they are different CPUs. Felt like I just needed to differentiate that. Alright, put the lid on and, well actually I won't yet, and then get it plugged in. In goes the video cable. Power is going to be the last thing I plug into it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the monitor. I think the video card fan is the one that's so loud. There we go. I'll fix that. So it's doing our RAM check. Because I cleared the CMOS, it doesn't remember how much RAM it has. Okay, there we go. It's been... I know. But yeah, it's been like 2 minutes, scanned all of my RAM. Oh no, why? There we go. This monitor likes to be blue for some reason, I have no idea why. Alright, needs to support the processor stepping or something. I can go in and download that in XP. I know there are like microcode updates you can download from the HP download page, and I think that's what I need. Hopefully it's gonna work though. It's gonna be really easy to find out if the CPU doesn't work. Alright, we've synced with the internet time server. Now I'm gonna open hardware info and see if, well, first I might as well just do the easy. Oh yeah, there we go. So it's recognizing the CPU. Now, I'm confused why it needs the microcode update, because it's basically the same CPU. It's literally the same CPU. Everything about it is the same except for the clock speed, which is 600 megahertz higher. Same cache, even on the same process node, 65 nanometers, from the same series. I mean, we're in the 40s, it seems decent for temperature. I'll go back up. Let's see. Core clocks 3588.4 megahertz. That's actually 12 megahertz, or rather 11.6 fewer than I paid for. So I'm going to send the CPU back. That's a joke. I'm just going to open something that the previous struggled with. YouTube. That was noticeably faster. I'm not kidding. Like, I don't think this is just placebo. Like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, so I mean it's looking decent. We know what it's time for, boys. Cinebench. We're not going to be running modern Cinebench. 9.5, 10, and 11.5 are what we're going to be running. So I'll open good old Cinebench 9.5, and I have an old screenshot that shows it. So the score we're trying to beat is 254 single thread, 298 two thread. Now an interesting thing to note is that other thread only gave us 17% performance increase over just one thread on the old CPU. That's of course because they share cache. This is very cache intensive, and something less cache intensive, like, I don't know, gaming, web browsing, daily use that doesn't constantly hammer the CPU with an artificial workload, it would of course perform a bit better. But I'll just go ahead and start all tests. It's gonna start with like OpenGL, that of course does not matter here. But then it'll get to CPU. Okay, we're gonna do what we call math here. So 3.6 gigahertz versus 3 gigahertz is a 20% improvement. My score here is 298 Cinebench, or CB. If that was a 1.17 times improvement, ironically that's the exact score the dual thread of the previous CPU got, but if that's a 17% increase over the single thread score, That means that I'm getting a 17% increase on single thread. So for what is supposed to be a 20% increase, I say that is well within margin of error, and I'm quite satisfied. Now for this, the multiple CPU, let's see what we get. We got a 347. Very interesting. So it gets the same 17% increase for two CPUs. I wonder if that's just like a thing with these Pentium 4s. Like I could just go get any Pentium 4 hyperthread and just chuck it into this test and it would still get 17% increase. Also, yeah, this is old Cinebench, guys. Back when 620 by 620 was an insane resolution to be rendering at. But we'll close 9.5. So we got a 17% increase. I'd say that's quite good. Cinebench R10. I did not save my score. Cinebench 11, I recall it being like 5. They did something weird with the scores in 11, where instead of being like in the hundreds, they were just, yeah, here I am. Intel Pentium, yeah, there I am. I got 0.49. So yeah, they did something weird with the scoring there. So I'm gonna run the CPU test. Oh, and while I'm at it, I'll look at max temperatures. The highest temp we hit was 71°C, which, let's see. And yeah, that's all the info it's going to give us. Is that the last two? Yes. Okay, so 0.59 and 0.49. Off the top of my head, that should be about a 17% increase, actually. Oh my god. That's a 20% increase. That is incredible. So, I'm getting exactly the 20% increase that I paid for with this CPU in this test. So that's, yes, I would love to save it. I feel pretty good about this purchase. It was $10 for this beast of a Pentium 4. I didn't buy it off eBay, I bought it off someone on a forum. I'm starting to buy more and more parts off of people on forums because they know what they're talking about. Let's see, it should be in Future Mark, 3D Mark 03. I'll go ahead and try 3D Mark 03. And I can probably sell the old one for, I don't know, 5, 10, probably to another person on the forum, upgrading from a single core. Is that the CPU test? This does not seem like the CPU test. Wait, no, that was this. I'm not used to something. CPU test. I'm not used to something performing this well. I'm used to getting like, you know, I don't know, about 2/3 of this in, okay, yeah, this is the CPU test here. All game tests must be selected to obtain a 3D. Well, okay, 3D Mark kinda, alright, you just, I don't like that. But, jokes aside, I feel like I did get a decent CPU for my money. Pretty impressed with what this little CPU could do. That's it for this video. Thank you everyone for watching. See you next time.